Hello everyone, welcome once again to Investing with the Difference. So today I think this is one of the biggest update because of kind of the news flow, kind of the activity happening both in the markets as well as in the EOS world. It has been at one of the fastest pace I've ever seen. So we are going to talk about a lot of things. So let's get started. First of all, as usual, let's start with the Bitcoin price. So as you know that it has been, we have been talking about these breakouts and how this 200-day moving average was clearly left behind, and we are in a very solid uptrend. The interesting thing is there have been a lot of negative news flow. Like you have this whole big Binance attack, which is the hack happened around 7,000 Bitcoin were stolen, and they have been moving around. These hackers are have run away with the funds. And there is a lot of other activity. I think, as you know, Binance is one of the biggest exchange, and they have frozen the assets. Even before that, I think a few days back, we had this whole drama around Bitfinex, which is another biggest exchange. That is where the, I think, New York State General Attorney had actually has been pursuing a case against Bitfinex. They have been asking for documents, and the basic idea is they are not convinced that Tether is really backed by US dollar the way they represent it, and they are actually going after those activity, how they use the Tether to use the funds, like the Tether, how they minted tokens and so on. In the meanwhile, the Bitfinex is already raising almost $1 billion in Tether, which is a lot of things happening. Like it's almost impossible to catch up with the pace at which these things are moving. And as I said, so this is a lot of negative news flow. And if you see, there is hardly any impact on the BTC price here, and we are seeing a very solid uptrend when you look at the daily chart. And the most importantly, we have broken out of the $6,000 mark, which is huge. I think the $6,000 was kind of the base. Even like $5,800 to $6,000 was the base, which we were bouncing back from in 2018, and we had dropped below that, and suddenly we had a huge kind of crash after that once we broke down. So going above these important psychological levels like $6,000 is very positive. Another thing which we are seeing is that this is Bitcoin dominance. So let's look at the chart of Bitcoin dominance. Let me click for a while. So while Bitcoin has been very strong, what is happening is it's gaining that one of the bigger market share of the rest of the currencies. That means that altcoins are actually going down. So the dominance of Bitcoin, which had taken almost made a bottom last year when we had everything rallying, when we had some huge rallies in some altcoins, now we are seeing that market is coming back and a lot of projects are dying, especially the altcoins which are not really, they did not turn out to be much. So that is another factor which shows you that maybe the bottom is in, because the projects are dying, altcoins are not able to maintain the momentum, and this is actually one of the highest point in the Bitcoin dominance this year for almost more than 6 months. I think the last time we saw these high levels above 57% were like in 2017, and maybe for some time, I think it's more than 1 year actually. It's like it has been, we have never seen these levels in 2018. So that's very interesting, and this is one of the reasons you see that a lot of other altcoins are actually going down, and maybe because of all the freezing on Binance and a lot of other exchanges like Bitfinex having a lot of liquidity issues. I think these are another reason where I think it matters that Bitcoin is so easy to trade across exchanges, and it is people are relying more and more on that for their crypto investments. So overall, I think it's a positive for the market, because usually in any big rallies we have seen Bitcoin has led and market dominance has gone up. So now coming back to the charts, as I said, I'm very positive. If you remember, we had drawn this red line here around $5,800 mark, and I was looking for us to let me go back and make this line. So if you see here, we have broken out of it, and it's in psychological terms, I think it's very positive. Now we are in the consolidation zone of this 6,000 area, and if we cross 6,800 or as we go closer to 7,000, this can really lead to a very aggressive bull market. Now, as I discussed a few weeks back, I was telling you how I am not liking the chart. So let me remove the ads. Okay, so as I was telling you how when we broke down below this trend line, I told you towards I think third week of April or fourth week of April, I was already highlighting why the EOS is not looking very strong against Bitcoin. And as we expected, we have gone down, and we have actually even broken down below 200 moving average today. So this is not looking very good. For as I told you, like the altcoins usually suffer more when the Bitcoin is rallying like this and when the breakouts are happening, and it is very very bad today. I was very optimistic till yesterday when we were still holding above this 200 moving average. And if you remember my last video when we covered few weeks back, when I was expecting EOS to go down against Bitcoin, not in the dollar terms, I was talking about EOS against Bitcoin, and I was expecting it to take support in 200 moving average. So today's breakdown, when the Bitcoin broke $6,000, I think this is a very bad timing, because we are now breaking down below 200 moving average. The only hope, of course, is that this can be a short-term breakdown and we can maybe close, because it's just a start of the day. Remember, there is a good chance we still have 21 hours in this chart to close above it if we can recover from this in next 21 hours. But again, it's still looking bad in terms of going below this 200 moving average by a big margin. And as I explained to you, as this rally in Bitcoin is taking us to kind of a FOMO area where people can really just get into believing that Bitcoin is now running away. This can actually lead to a lot of selling in the altcoins. So this has happened before. If you remember the 2017 rally, this is exactly what happened. A lot of people came into Bitcoin even when there was a fork and so on. There was a lot of concern around when we were talking about the Bitcoin Cash fork, and there was a lot of buying of Bitcoin that had actually created a huge rally in Bitcoin while the altcoins had gone down. So that kind of scenarios may exist, so we watch out for that, and I would be careful if you're trading. But in long run, I think, as we all know, EOS has been doing very well fundamentally, and we are expecting a lot more. So remember that we have gone through a huge rally in EOS versus Bitcoin, and in dollar terms it's not still doing pretty fairly well. It's stable around $4.70 or $4.80 mark. So in the dollar term, I don't see it breaking down yet. But if Bitcoin keeps rallying, the EOS against Bitcoin may not be a great trade. Now, coming back to the EOS world, I think I do not know where to start, because there's so much going on and such huge stuff. So let's quickly go to Rex, because that's what we have been covering. So if you have been watching our videos, we did 3-part Rex guide. I think everybody who's a long-term investor in EOS should buy Rex and stake it. So do watch it. We covered a lot of details on how to use Rex, what are the safe practices. We did a demo using tools, and also we showed you how much you're making. So let's have a quick summary of where we are with Rex. So as you know, 58 million tokens, or almost 60 million tokens, have been deposited into Rex. And now that more than 4 days have passed for the original tokens, you see that most of them have matured. So almost 51% are matured, and 34% are in saving. That means they are not going to mature unless you take them out of saving. In other words, you have to unstake. For example, if you're using EOS Authority, they are using stake word. Some people are using move to savings and savings funds. So depending on the terminology, basic idea is that these are the Rex which are not liquid, and so 80% of these, I'm assuming, so because these are not going to be liquid, maybe they would have turned liquid if the maturity has happened. Either way, the flow of funds into Rex is slowing down now because the initial rush is over. Now, if this is the most important chart everybody's watching, that is how much are you making in Rex. And as you can see, the biggest contribution is usually by the bid name, that is the name, premium name bidding. And as you see, the day when there is a premium name sold, you see a huge jump in Rex income, while most of the time it is pretty low because RAM fee and CPU and net are not really contributing much. Now, having said that, there is a lot of discussion going on in many channels, and people are coming up with other ideas. Even Dan Larimer himself suggested that you can introduce more premium bids. Like right now, these are only one category, which is one name sold every day. That is up to 5 character. We can create a 6 to 11 character names as a different tier and sell more often. That's another idea. But again, remember, as you make these names less scarce and more premium names are available, the bids may not be that high, because the reason the bids go high is because of the scarcity, and that's why you are getting such a huge fee. So do not expect, like, if we open up more bid names, to this fund will go very high. So I think overall, how much are you making? Let's look at the Rex value. So if you were the first one to buy Rex at let's say that one EOS has 10,000 Rex, even at the current price, even if you started as the first one, if you invested 10,000 EOS, you only made around 2.4 EOS on that. That is in 10 days or so. So it's not a huge money, but it's slowly growing, and it's most importantly, you are making the rental rate. That means that every EOS a DApp has to spend for using EOS is gone down by such a huge amount that it will not be long before we will see a lot more usage. So this is one thing I think, and the other thing which I think is a lot of excitement around is the EOS saving fund. As you know, we have been talking about all the inflation. The 4% of the inflation was going into the saving fund, and there was no plan to use those funds. So in a very, very big event, 34 million EOS were burnt or retired from circulation. By the way, these were not necessarily in circulation. They were just counted as the funds. So let's go look at the coin market cap, and we click on EOS. You will see the market cap of EOS. Let's let it load. So this transaction is showing you that on this particular day, on this particular like I think May 7th, we saw a huge decline in the market cap of EOS. And if you look at the 7-day chart, I'm hoping that this, so this is the May 7th, we are seeing this huge drop in EOS market cap, and that is because of that reason. If you see here, the price has actually been going up around that time, and we saw this huge drop because of this 34 million tokens going out of circulation. So this is based on the referendums, which I think all of us have been tracking. A lot of people have agreed to remove this inflation, but at this moment only the accumulated savings have been burnt as per the agreement from community. But let me load the polls. I think there's another poll which has got 99.9% yes, is reduce the rate to 1%. That means completely remove this 4% tap. So if you go back now, you still see that if you click on this EOS saving, you will still see that it is accumulating funds. So it still has around 2 million funds again, because if you remember when we proposed this, at that time there was a specific amount which was burned, that is around 34 million EOS. But in the meantime, when it was approved and the execution happened, it has already started collecting. And so this is not the funds which have got collected in last day or two. It is basically since the proposal was put on, and then the 2 million have been accumulated in this. At this, as I understand, around 100,000 EOS is getting added every day to this fund. So this particular proposal is to reduce. So we are talking about reducing the inflation to 1%, and there's a lot of discussion going on. And as I told you, there's a 99.9% votes in favor of this. Nobody is saying no to this proposal. So hopefully this will be put on chain. The code changes are being done and tested by some block producers, and hopefully this will be approved very soon. So this is again, none of the other public chains have done this, like a huge burning of tokens, like 34 million tokens we are talking about. And this is big news. I don't think this is well understood by people outside the EOS world, and this is something which I think Depose is coming very, very strongly, where people are using this referendum systems to make decisions by the token holders and not by a central body, like what happens in a Bitcoin or Ethereum world. There are a few developers are fighting about it. Bitcoin is actually forking about some of these differences, while what you're seeing here is these polls and referendums on chain, where 25 million token holders participated. And when I say 25 million, these are tokens, not the people, but this 25 millions tokens have voted. And remember, some people say, oh, it's out of a billion token, if only 25 million are voting, that's not a good sign. But remember that this is a public forum. Anybody who has the tokens can vote. And if you're not voting, it's your choice. You're not exercising your vote. The main point is you have a voice. Every token holder has a voice, and you can always go and say no. Because you did not say no, either you are not opposing this, or you're not interested in voicing your opinion and you're going with the public opinion. So that's how I would say any typical depots should work. And it's not decided by a few people, which is more important. As you remember, we had the same reasoning when we went ahead with the user agreement, EOS user agreement, the Rex, and we included this RAM and name fee into the Rex because it was passed by the users here. And there are other reasons why we are trying to reduce inflation, because people are not agreeing to WPS. So there are multiple proposals. I think some of them have expired, so they're not seen here. There are some other proposals were proposed, and they did not get the community yes for. And this is what I would say is a huge deal. And we are looking at all these decisions being made. So now let me talk about what is happening next. I think the big event is the B1 June. Now, this hopefully means we have been promised a lot. Nobody knows exactly what Block 1 is going to announce. But so we are going to be there. I've got my invites from Block 1, and we will be meeting a lot of people there. So if you are coming, do not forget to drop us a line, set up some meetings if you are building something. I keep reminding you, so let me go back to our blockstart.one. We are building a lot of apps. We are working with a lot of entrepreneurs from enterprise and the actual businesses who want to bring their product on EOS. If we can help you, do meet us. We are going to be available there. And once you send us a note, you can contact us here if you're building your project, and you can send your details by going to blockstart.one, or you can join our Telegram, drop a note, or you can also reply to us on Twitter and other places. I think most of you are already communicating with us who are already interested, but if you are visiting DC for this Block 1 event, I would highly recommend you to go and set up your appointments with us. And we are joining some of the other meetups, and we will be participating in a lot of other social events, and I would look forward to meeting you, many of you, at this place. So a lot of great stuff. I think as Block 1 has promised, we are expecting some huge announcements. We are expecting some, I'm not the one to speculate, so I'm not going to be going ahead and trying to define what is going to happen, because there is nobody can say for sure, because Block 1 has been very tight-lipped about exactly what it is. So let's see and wait. What we have been promised is it's going to be a huge event with a lot of marketing, and there will be something. I would be more than happy if it is a technological roadmap and some big news around how they are going to enable more people with EOS accounts, and what will be the roadmap and what will be the features EOS will be launching, especially around IBC, especially around multi-threading and so on. But if there are real products and if there are partnerships, I think that would be really amazing for EOS. So many things happening, as I said, in the Bitcoin world. Bitcoin is, as a summary, Bitcoin is very, very strong. Market is coming out of the bear market. Altcoins are struggling. EOS is one of them, but remember that EOS was one of the strongest performer in the early days of this bull market, if we can call it already, because we have already doubled on Bitcoin, and we have actually more than doubled on EOS and some of the other altcoins. So, and especially if you see the Binance and so on, they did very, very well recently. So I would say that it's already a bull market. But if you look at a long term, which we always look at in the terms of charts, we are in a very promising zone where we can again get into some really great areas, and we can see some consistent growth in the prices and hitting these 200 billion market cap, which is I think the kind of point when the whole market can get into the FOMO mode, and you can see that a lot more price rise is happening in short time. In addition, as I said, the EOS is moving very fast. We had this whole inflation taken care of. We have burned 34 million tokens. We have already adopted the user agreement. We have already been going ahead with Rex in last few days, and it's very, very fast moving ahead, reducing the cost of resources, providing you a passive income, and you see that lot more voting happening on chain. So this is just a start, I would say. This is now the real EOS, like after almost 1 year, and with this June 1 event, with a lot more coming from Block 1, hopefully now that all the basics are in place, we have the technology, we have the platform which can really scale, and we can really see the real world applications coming out. And as I have been talking about the Blockstart and the work we are doing, I am more than excited to tell you that means the kind of products we are working on. Unfortunately, we are not able to talk about all the projects right now because of the confidentiality around them. But what I can promise you is that in next 6 months to 1 year, you will see so much coming out from our side. And not only that, so much is being built, which I see and talk to like the app developers. You will be amazed where we will be when we talk about June 1st for 2020. But of course, at this moment, we're all excited about June 1st of this year, that is 2019. And let's see what comes out of there. And I hope to see all of you there. Bye for now. I think I was very excited about all the things happening, so it's a little bit longer than what I expected, but I hope you like this video and share it, and do send us your opinion, and do send us your ideas on if you are coming to DC, if you want to meet up, and if there are any other events, do let us know, and we would love to participate. Thank you. Bye bye.